just by 5 minutes of the bigger picture of seeing drawing, and I think that this is probably one of the most important pieces if you want to learn. I like to compare this to riding a bike. We all had to get on the bike and learn, and we fell and relapsed, and then we flew, and then time went by, we locked in those skills, and we could get on that bike a year later and we remembered how to do it without too much trouble. So this can be compared to any kind of skill like that. And the thing about drawing and seeing is you have to do it to learn, just like riding a bike and anything else. You have to actually get out and do it. So I wanted to just talk a minute. Most all of us live in a non-creative environment due to the fact that it's computer age of information, and we're being bombarded left and right, leaving us with overstimulated nervous systems and overloaded switchboards and whatnot. So the antidote, or the opposite, is contemplation, slowing down, and sparking that creativity. We need to shut off the overload switch. So think of nature drawing as a refuge for that. So learning how to draw, and there's all kinds of benefits there. There's lowering the blood pressure, lowering anxiety, it's soothing, it's calming, it's very rejuvenating, and anyway. So the thing with drawing and painting, the information goes into our eye, then the retina. There's this whole kind of, it goes down into the sensory perception mind space that we're trying to develop, out the hand and onto the paper. So it's this absolute first hand experience, it's personal. And so for me, I can spend hours on a piece and not think about the time. 2 hours can zip by, but normally I'm really, squirrely and can't sit still, and so I think that the world needs more of this. And if you really want to learn how to do this, getting into that space where you're not thinking about the time and you're just so into it, that's how you're going to really learn. I can go through the how-to step by step, but that's how you really just got to get out there and do it and get into that great space. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I will start the slide presentation, but my projector hasn't warmed up yet. So I don't understand why it hasn't yet, but
There's something.
oh good.
Yay.
Oh, there we go.
It's just starting.
Oh, it's warming up. It's soon to be.
That's a cool projector there.
I know, it's great. It's very powerful for being so small. So I'm sorry this is taking a minute to warm up. There we go.
Ah.
A little crooked. Making it worse. There we go. This is field sketching and all my little notes. When you're out in the field, I'd like for you to write down all the little things that you want to remember when your specimen dies before you're finishing your drawing. So think about all those little stage growths, the seed pods, the old, thanks. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, so where does it grow? Is it in a riparian or woodlands? Is it dry scrub or chaparral? Is it coastal redwoods? Where does it like to grow? Where are all the little hairs? Are they just on the stem and the leaves, or just the leaves? These are little things that you're going to want to know later on when you're working on your piece. And how about the color? There's slight hues that you notice out there in the field that you wouldn't normally notice. I notice that when I when I'm looking very close with my lens, I just see things that I didn't notice. In fact, I didn't mention that earlier. Sometimes after I draw a piece, I realize I didn't even see the plant. I thought I saw it and I thought I knew it and the common name and the Latin name, but I realized I didn't really see it at all until I drew it. And so you'll notice when you're out in the field little things about the plant, so take all those notes. I like to show this slide at the very beginning because there's a real value in learning to sketch and move your eyes back and forth and see and draw at the same time. And not try to get it perfect at first, because that's just too many expectations of yourself. I can't do it. I think that if you leave the pencil on the paper and move your eyes back and forth to your paper, back to the specimen, back and forth, you can actually get skilled at drawing and seeing at the same time. And you learn to trust your gut. And you learn to trust yourself rather than trying to do it the way you're supposed to do it. So if you can get this part down, then you've eliminated a lot of steps, sequential steps. But right now, we'll go to we'll use our training wheels and go step by step, and keep in mind, it's going to sound tedious and really technical, but just all this comes automatic after a while. It just all comes automatic, just like knitting or riding a bike. You know, everything is just second nature after a while, so just keep that in mind. So this is where we're going, painting a California poppy. And the thing I'd like to, getting started, is think about the flower structure. In an iris, it's going to be more triangle. In a poppy, it's got this overall sort of oval basic structure to it. So let's begin. Once you're proficient, like I say, you're going to just get this, but when you're first starting, let's think about the 3-dimension from the start, because it'll give your picture more depth in the end. So let's think about 3-dimension by building that oval. And think about foreground, middle ground, background. So the things up close will be sharp, more in focus. The tone will be a little brighter, and then the things far away will be fuzzier, a little more out of focus, lighter in tone. And even though it's a flower and it appears small and flat, it can give the idea of more depth to it if you start thinking about 3-dimension from the start. So let's establish our flower heads in those as the main focal flowers, at least. Let's get those placed and move on. So here we've removed the oval, and now we can start to see the basic shape of the flower. And so how do we get from this cartoon to a more in-depth, sophisticated sketch? And then onward to color. So let's move on to that. Anybody guess? What do you think?
I had a question.
What's that?
So are you drawing in graphite?
So beginning with a
sketch.
light pencil sketch, lightly applied, just pencil sketch, that's where we start. And then we move into color pencils, and then from there to paint. Thanks, that's a good question. So flower parts, yeah.
Is there any space to move the screen back at all? Because the drawings are pretty small.
Oh, I know, sorry.
Why don't you put it on full slideshow rather than?